I think like a pivotal time for us. Like I don't think paddle would exist if like you hadn't written the first, I can't remember what, 150 grand check or whatever it was. The biggest thing that we have, or we had back then, and probably one of the biggest things that we learned from you, was just like a lot of businesses are about just who works the hardest for the longest period of time until it works. Like who tries as many things as they possibly can over the shortest period of time consistently until one of those things works, and then you run with that thing. For the next 5 years, we were the fastest growing software company in the UK, and we 3x revenue every single year for 5 years. Of the first year of Paddle, like 2012 to 13 year, and being in that group of other people, it was like, yeah, everybody was working 16 hours a day and having 3 meals a day in that office at our desks. But we were all having fun. Like we were all laughing and joking with each other and sort of having this camaraderie in the respect of like everybody is like having the best day and the worst day of their life, like sort of 6 hours apart. And I think you and kind of the early sort of kind of community of people in sort of that office that we ended up in, I think helped us bridge the gap on all the things we weren't good at. So like never run payroll, didn't know how to do a VAT return, didn't know how to do any of these things. But like the first thing you did was sort of like we ended up in that office and we set up an entity, and you were like, here's your accountant, like use these guys. I've used them for a number of years. Sort of, they'll get you set up with everything. And whenever we had a question, we were in like an ecosystem of people where we could just go and ask. There are a lot of ingredients to the early stages of the business that are the same, like that work really well, like moving quickly, experimentation, finding kind of just being around other people, which I think was one of the things that you guys helped a ton with. I think you did a really good job at sticking us all in this sort of melting pot of an environment in like one office so that we could like bounce ideas off of each other and learn from each other and do all the stuff. I was remembering kind of earlier that there was 2 of us initially. We decided we wanted to hire engineers. Like we'd never hired engineers before. Like we'd never hired anyone before, but we'd certainly never hired engineers before, even though we kind of knew how to code. We would find engineers and their final interview would be with your tech team. Even if you didn't have the person in your business who knew how to help, you would make a phone call and find somebody who you trusted and you'd bring them in and they'd help us hire a marketing person or like whatever it was. And I think that it was just things like that where I think like creating that ecosystem and the ability to move really quickly and experiment and have all that under one roof played on the benefit of like the early stages of these businesses like being quite similar to each other, which is just move really quickly and try a load of stuff. Like the first actual fund that we met was through, I think it was one of like 2 or 3 VCs that you knew at the time, and we hit it off. We had a very short meeting, a 30-minute meeting or something that you thought I think went really poorly but actually went quite well, and sort of they ended up writing a check. Interestingly, like that investor then moved funds and then led our Series A. The thing that we have right now is I think we have a delta between the individuals, like individual angel investors that exist who can write a 25 to 100K check into a business. But oftentimes those individuals don't want to be the first check in. They want some sort of proof point, whether it's other angels or some sort of seed fund, to be doing that deal. And then you have Series A funds who today are writing 5, 6, 7 million pound checks. There's this awkward bit in the middle where it's like we've built the product, we've hired an initial team, like we've gotten to that milestone that is warranting of us raising a bit more money, but we're not quite ready yet to go and raise a 7 million, 8 million, 10 million pound Series A. I think that's been a missing part of like the ecosystem for a long time that I think Fuel fills very nicely. The actual difference is this alignment of ambition of an entrepreneur and ambition of an investor. There are now investors that map to the ambition of founders, so they're willing to back them on those journeys. And they're willing to lose money along the way as well because the power law of venture, like you're going to lose money on some of these bets. But they're much more comfortable with that because they understand that it is possible to build one of these businesses in the UK. It is possible to build one in London. And they're actively going and searching for those companies and the founders who have that ambition, rather than looking for like, where is the safe place to put the money? That like, we're not going to make a ton of money, but we're probably not going to lose very much money. Whereas now I think the venture ecosystem is one of like, who are the founders who want to build really big companies, and we're going to put our money with them. And yeah, we're going to lose 20 or 30% of them, but the ones that hit really, really hit. You're seeing that story happen across dozens and dozens of businesses across the UK and across London, where early employees at Revolut or early employees at Wise or like wherever it is are kind of spinning out, they're starting their own companies. And like that recycling of talent and this like next generation of founders who have grown up in kind of the unicorns that have been created over the last 10 years, I think have a much higher probability of being able to create big outcomes over the next 10 years.